Hey everybody, my name is Abby. Welcome to my channel. So in this video I wanted to explain a little bit about my country, Canada, and if it is even worth traveling to. So I was born and raised in Ontario in a very small town, and honestly it is kind of nice. I like living where I live. I love to stay here my whole life. Everybody's really nice. The towns are small and cute. You get to know everybody. You get to know the area really well. Really easy to get around. Only thing you should know is you're gonna need a car if you come to Canada, unless you're planning on staying just in a city, because everything's really far apart, and especially when you get to rural areas, there are no public transportation systems at all. Like where I live about 2 hours south from Toronto, and like the only way you can get around is by car, unless you're okay with like taking an hour-long bike ride somewhere. So my town technically is like 7 minutes away from my house. I live on the outskirts of my town, and that's kind of how it is. Everything's far away, but it's quiet, it's nice. Like, depends where you go. If you're planning on just staying in a city, like if you're traveling to Canada and you just want to see Toronto, I don't know if it's really worth it, because Canadian cities aren't really that pretty. If you want to visit cities, go to European cities, because Canada isn't an old country, so we don't have nice architecture. It's all like modern architecture. There's a lot of sketchy areas, like any city really. It's not the cleanest. People in the cities here aren't as nice as they are in rural areas. So I mean, but it's kind of iffy, because if you come to Canada to explore the small towns, you're going to love like the architecture. Smaller towns, they're older usually, so architecture is a bit better. You get the older town feel. Everybody's way nicer. Only thing is there's not as much entertainment typically, whereas in Toronto there's shows, you have public transportation, there's lots of hotels, there's lots of restaurants and events and festivals and concerts and everything. But then you come here to my town, for example, we have 6 pizza places for some reason. We have a couple local restaurants. We have a Tim Hortons. Every town has a Tim Hortons, so don't be afraid of that, but there's no other like chain restaurants or anything. So, and entertainment wise, there's really only a few events per year, so you're gonna have to come at a specific time to these small towns to experience those events. Like in the fall time we have fairs. It's fair season usually all across the country. There's fairs, and even in Toronto they have the CNE. It's a really giant fair. So yeah, it all depends when you want to come. Like if you're going, say, Banff, Alberta, it's a small town, but it is beautiful because the Rocky Mountains, they're right there. It's a popular skiing area, lots of cute local shops. So Banff is a place to go in the winter time for sure. But then everywhere else, I'd recommend going in the summer. It can get pretty cold in Canada, especially like midwinter, like January, February, they're the coldest months. It can get to be -20, sometimes close to -30 degrees Celsius. So if you're not used to those temperatures, you are not going to have a good time. But in the summer, it does get pretty hot as well. So if you're coming here like summertime, July, August, it's usually in the 20s, sometimes 30s. Our peak was like low 40s one time. But yeah, it gets hot in the summer, so depends, again, temperature. But also if you're expecting to come to Canada in the winter time, especially in the southern areas like me, I'm in southern Ontario, there's not as much snow as you would think. I know people think Canada, it snows all the time. Not really. It's cold all winter. It's cold for like a solid 6 months out of the year, but we only get a few nice snowfalls throughout those 6 months, and the snow doesn't stick very long. Like one day it's a heavy snow, roads are covered, everything. By the next day, it's melted. So it doesn't really last, so don't expect that kind of winter. So price-wise, Canada can be pretty affordable to travel to. There's a lot of value hotel companies around. There's also some really luxurious ones as well. So if you are looking to travel on a budget, Canada is doable. Even taking the train. In Ontario, we have GO trains, and they are kind of cheap to take. Because for me, like I go from Hamilton, which is the closest city to me, to Toronto. It's just over an hour, and it costs me like $15 to $20 for that ride. So not too bad. You're also able to take the train all the way to Niagara Falls, which also is not far from me, and that's very popular. So if you're thinking of going to Niagara Falls, I think Niagara Falls is more worth it than any other place in Canada to travel to. Sure, you have the falls. They're beautiful. Everybody wants a picture in front of them. But, you know, it's considered the Vegas of Canada. There's a lot of restaurants. There's roller coasters for some reason. There's a lot of stores, arcades, water parks, a lot of casinos and hotels. Like, everything is there. You could easily spend a week in Niagara Falls. I live an hour away from it, and I have gone for weekend vacations to Niagara Falls. There's lots to do there. So yeah, Canada overall, I think it is worth it to come visit, but don't limit yourself to one city necessarily. Say you're spending a week in Toronto, spend a few days outside of the city exploring small towns and rural areas. Same as Niagara Falls, go out and venture a little bit. If you go more into the outskirts of Niagara, there are a lot of beautiful vineyards there. There's also lots of beaches in my area, in Ontario specifically, along Lake Erie and Lake Ontario, so take advantage of those on hot summer days. So yeah, I think it is definitely worth it to come here, and it's not really that expensive. Based on my experience, hotels, you can get some really cheap ones for around $100 a night. There's also a lot of Airbnbs too, so those are cheap. So yeah, if you're looking for budget, Canada, it's doable, and you will have fun. You will find things to do. There's a lot of national parks and hiking trails and all that. There's a lot of, foresty areas, a lot of scenic views of nature, but not architecture. So keep that in mind. Lots of pretty lakes, rivers, but yeah, cities, they're not really that pretty, so don't expect to be blown away by them, unfortunately. Toronto has the CN Tower, which people love to visit. I've been in it. You get really nice views, but again, the city, it's not that pretty. Not really. If you're thinking of coming for architecture, Toronto and main cities are not the place. The cutest area would be Nova Scotia, which is way on the east coast of Canada. They have cute little towns, colorful houses and all that, beautiful views, lots of history there. So Nova Scotia is a really great place to visit, along with Niagara Falls. Alright, so that's just my opinion. You can form your own based on what I have told you. So yeah, if you still think coming to Canada is going to be a good vacation for you, by all means, come on down. You will have fun. You will. So yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you found this somewhat helpful. I'm not the best at speaking. But yeah, I do have travel guides. I'll leave a link in the description. I'm still working on a lot of them. So if you are interested in getting a full breakdown, what to bring, where to eat, what to do, where to stay, click the link down there. I have travel guides for lots of countries and cities and areas, especially Canada, which is of course, my expertise. I am from Canada. So yeah, if you are thinking of going on vacation, take a look at that. I have free guides. I have some really cheap guides as well. So yeah, take a look at that. I hope you found this really useful. I did my very best. So yeah, I hope you find the ideal vacation spot for you.